Aside from a piano or a pipe organ, we've got just about the least portable instrument out there. Remember, the drum set was born out of a bunch of separate percussion instruments, each played by different people. Our collective drum set, or set of drums, takes up quite a bit more space and is also, well, not so portable because we've got to cover all of these individual instruments. But then comes the nesting drum set, the Russian dolls of drums. Fit your high tom inside your floor tom, inside your bass drum. These things are great. I actually have a set of them myself. But they're still pretty heavy, and those butterfly clamps for connecting the two halves of the drum shell are a royal pain. And generally speaking, you're still moving around a full-size or at least full-depth bass drum, which takes up a lot of space and is kind of a pain. So when Josh from INDe Drums hit us up about trying out their new WaFarer MicroNest kits, I was curious but skeptical. While I'd seen some of their nesting drums online, I've never actually experienced them in person, and I was really curious as to what made them so special. We tried out their WaFarer kits in the past, featuring them here on Sounds Like a Drum, and I was really into the shallow shells, thought that was a cool design element. But then the box with the kit arrived. You've probably heard the phrase, work smarter, not harder, right? Well, Independent Drum Lab seems to be built on this phrase, though they've definitely put in the hard work for much smarter drum designs. When the drums showed up, they were all in a single box. Josh mentioned that he'd probably be sending over a snare drum to play with the kit. I figured that he'd probably opted not to do that because there was no way there was a snare drum inside that box along with a 3-piece kit. Yeah, I was wrong about that. The whole kit plus a snare drum, all in one box, and I didn't really have to do much in terms of assembly, which was amazing. Before we get into all the things that make these drums particularly awesome, let's go ahead and listen to what I sort of determined to be the low tuning for this kit, along with the snare drum, which most definitely was included in the box. So these are the WaFarer MicroNest drums from Independent Drum Lab, or INDe Drums as most of us refer to them. The kick drum is an 18 by 8.5 and splits in half to hold the floor tom, which is a 15 by 7.5, which splits in half to hold the rack tom. The rack tom is 12 by 6.5 inches, and then the snare drum, which doesn't fit inside all the other drums unfortunately, but still fit in the same box. That's an 8-lug 13 by 5. We'll talk a bit more about these shells in a moment, but first let's listen to some more of these drums at this low tuning. The shells for this new series are part of INDe's Club Light design, which is a new thing for them. Featuring 5 plies of tulip wood and an outer ply of red oak, these drums are quite lightweight, and it's not just due to their shallow depth. The wood choice is also on the soft side. Generally speaking, maple is considered to be the standard for wooden shell drums, and those come in at a hardness rating of 1,450 pounds of force. Tulip wood, the primary wood in these club light shells, comes in at a hardness rating of 540 pounds of force. Now, while hardness and weight aren't necessarily directly correlated, there tends to be some consistency with denser woods, heavier woods, harder woods, and vice versa. So with the majority of these shells being tulip wood, a softer wood, it makes sense that they might be a little bit lighter weight. Now, before you get too concerned with the softness of these shells, remember that we also have that outer ply of red oak. That comes in at a hardness rating of 1,290, so the exterior of these shells is definitely well protected. As you can see, this particular setup comes in a black finish, though the grain is beautifully visible beneath. Two other colorways available are Calm Blue, which is actually the same finish that this snare drum features, and then a Forest Green, which I'd love to see, but none of the drums that we have today feature that. Let's hear a little bit more at this tuning before taking them up higher. It's important to remember that these drums feature smaller diameter shells and shallower depth than you might be used to, so that's going to affect the range of tuning. I felt like this was the lowest that I could get them to adequately speak, though you could certainly experiment at lower tuning ranges for the entire kit if you were willing to do some muffling and maybe just try some things out for fun. For practical performance applications, this seemed like the lowest end of things. Now, let's go ahead and take them up a little higher. Okay, now we're getting up there. The toms are starting to speak some more, and the kick has got even more presence. It's worth noting that with the stock reso, which in this case is an Aquarian Focus X texture coated, there is no port. And so I'm miking it from the outside, and we're definitely picking up more tone with the close mic. The choice to have a full, unported kick reso on here is also helping maintain some of that low frequency presence, allowing us to get more bass frequencies out of the drum, even with its shallower depth and smaller diameter. While we're talking drumheads, the stock batter on this kick is an Aquarian Focus X Clear, and it's got a patch on it as well. The toms are both sporting Aquarian texture-coated batters, and then on the reso side, they've both got classic clear drumheads. Let's hear a little bit more at this medium-high tuning. Now, by far the coolest thing about the design of these drums, in my opinion, has got to be the way that the two halves of the shells come together. I mentioned earlier that these don't feature the standard butterfly clamp kind of design that most other nesting drums see as kind of a standard thing. These feature a specially designed quick clip system that allows for them to be assembled and disassembled rapidly and easily. You don't have to worry about any rattling at that junction point, and it seems that it allows the shells to resonate and speak as a unit. By the way, if you're a drum builder and you're watching this and thinking, man, I would love to see my drums featured on Sounds Like a Drum, that's absolutely a possibility. Please leave a comment below from your drum account with how best to get in touch with you, and we'll reach out. These drums also feature INDe's Rapid Setup and Teardown, or RST, mounting brackets. In short, these are really cool. No wing nuts involved, memory locks do exactly what you would hope for them to do, making setup that much easier. While initially I was a little concerned about rattling as I was positioning the floor tom, as soon as I set it down and started playing the kit, I realized that was a non-issue. All of the legs, spurs, and tom mounting hardware are part of INDe's Ultralight hardware line, something that we featured here in the past and we're big fans of. It's also worth noting that the bass drum features triple flanged hoops, which I'm assuming are 2.3mm, rather than wooden hoops or extended claw-mounted hoops. That cuts down on the total physical depth of the drum, which certainly makes it easier when packing. And then the bass drum also includes an integrated pedal mount. I hesitated with tuning these drums any higher for the demo here today, but then I had an immediate vision of you all coming for me in the comments with pitchforks asking why I hadn't done a higher tuning, so I decided I'd go ahead and do that, especially with this sweet little bass drum. Suffice to say that I'll sleep a lot easier tonight knowing that I took them to the extreme. Without further ado, here's the highest tuning. It's been quite some time since I've played jazz on any serious level, so my jazz chops are pretty rough these days. But tuning up in this bebop range is not just for jazz, and I had a lot of fun playing these when they're tuned up higher, as well as tuned lower. I may or may not have had a lot of fun playing along with some old Medeski, Martin, and Wood records, and was definitely channeling my inner Billy Martin with some of these tunings, so that was a ton of fun. Let's go ahead and hear a little bit more at this particular tuning. It's important to remember what INDe's WaFarer MicroNest drums are intended to do and what problems they solve. These are lightweight, compact, and travel-friendly drums that are excellent for small club kind of scenarios, and they provide a little bit of a softer tone, particularly because of that softer wood, so you're not getting such harsh sounds over them in general. In addition to this 12, 15, 18 configuration, INDe is also offering a 10, 13, 16 ultra portable version. The optional snare drum also features the Club Light shell configuration, 2.3mm hoops, and an INDe SB1 snare strainer with Pure Sound 20-strand wires. Now, as I was having a blast with these drums, one crazy thought came to mind. And this could just be absolutely out to lunch, but if I were to think of what the next thing could be beyond these, I wonder if you could get away with building an add-on extension to these, so deeper shells that used maybe the top portion or the mounting portion of a drum, and then had an additional deeper shell bottom that you could add on to be able to retain some of that projection and overall depth when you don't need to have the portability of this kit. Just kind of a crazy thought. It just came to mind, figured I'd share it here. I want to extend a massive thank you to Josh Allen over at Independent Drum Lab. He's doing fantastic work, and his attention to the details with the design of every element of these drums and really everything that INDe offers is truly something that we should all applaud. Whether you're an owner of any INDe drums or any of their hardware or anything like that, or if you've maybe just seen some of the features here, I'm sure that you can recognize that this is a level of attention to detail and quality and innovation that we really should be pushing for all of the drum companies to strive for. You can learn more about the INDe WaFarer MicroNest drums, as well as everything else that they offer, via the link in the description below. Thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you in a future video.